Okay, let's start. You start.
The prayer while in a state of fear. Bismillah.
Okay, Salatul Khawf.
Allah exalted be He says, وَإِذَا كُنْتَ فِيهِمْ فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةَ فَلْتَكُمْ طَائِفَةٌ مِّنْهُمْ مَعَكَ وَلْيَأْخُذُوا أَسْلِحَتَهُمْ فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا فَلْيَكُونُوا مِنْ وَرَائِكُمْ وَلْتَأْتِ طَائِفَةٌ أُخْرَى لَمْ يُصَلُّوا فَلْيُصَلُّوا مَعَكَ وَلْيَأْخُذُوا حِذْرَهُمْ وَأَسْلِحَتَهُمْ. Surah Nisa. When you, O Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, are with the believers and lead them in prayer, let one group of them stand in prayer with you, taking their weapons with them. When they have finished their prostrations, let them take their position in the rear. Then let the other group who have not yet prayed come and pray with you, taking all precautions and also taking their weapons with them. Description of the prayer in a state of fear. Al-Khattabi said, there are various forms of the prayer in a state of fear. The Prophet ﷺ performed it on different occasions in different manners, performing it in a way that is best for the prayer and best for safeguarding. Although they are of different forms, their meanings are in agreement.
Okay, let's pause here. So what we are talking about, Salatul Khawf, the prayer in the state of fear. How we are going to offer the prayer in the battleground, in a state of fear. Fear means we are fighting with the enemies, and in the battleground, how the prayer should be performed. So something has been mentioned, the ayah that just the brother has read from the book, and it has been, so it is based upon Quran and Sunnah as well. Number of authentic hadiths, and scholars have agreed that there is a prayer need to be done in a special way. I mean, you find more concession is given, because now you're in a state of war, you're in the battleground, and you fear that the enemy can attack you at any time. If everyone is praying, especially, let's say, everyone is praying, and the direction of the Qibla is different way, so they can take the benefit of the opportunity and attack you from behind. So that's why many things have been allowed, or many concessions have been given. And scholars have said that there are two conditions for Salatul Khawf. What they are? One is that the fight is legitimate one. أَن يَكُونَ الْعَدُوُّ يَحِلُّ قِتَالُهُ. The fight is legitimate one. Okay, be careful or pay attention. Let's say two groups are fighting, and both are Muslims, and no one knows why, or they're fighting for worldly stuff or something. So this is not a legitimate jihad or war or something. So this concession should not be given to them. In the same way, someone is going to, during month of Ramadan, traveling in order to commit some sins, going to other country on a business trip, and his intention is to get involved in the riba transaction based upon riba. Or some people come from those countries to Europe country in order to enjoy the freedom or riba here also. So are they allowed to break fast and make use of this concession? No. Your whole, what we say, journey is not legitimate one. So you're not regarded musafir. So that's what he's saying. The qital need to be legitimate one. And the other thing is that this type of prayer, the description is coming, is only allowed when you are fearful of the enemies. Meaning you are fearful that if you pray in a proper way, they may attack you from behind or from any direction also. Let's say they are far away from you, and there is no danger that they are going to attack you if you proper in normal way. Then why what we say, offer in the specific way, meaning in the specific way where many concessions have been given, meaning make use of these concessions when there is a need. Okay, that's when there is a need, and when the qital itself is legitimate one. Okay, and another thing to what we say to consider, that the importance of the prayer. Another lesson we can learn from this Salatul Khawf that is coming, importance of the prayer. Where we derive this ruling from? I mean, you are praying, Even though you're in the battleground, the enemy is in front of you, still you have to pray. And the other important ruling we can derive is the importance of Jama'ah. Meaning the prayer has to be done in a Jama'ah. Even though in a specific way, more concession, but still you have to pray in congregation. Yes.
I was just thinking, if the enemy hypothetically knew that you were going to do
Sajda.
this prayer, and they can think, oh, when the prayer time happens, then half of the Muslim army is going to be praying, that would be an ideal time for us to attack. So even though half of them will be ready, we're still fighting half of their number. I don't know.
He's saying when it's imminent.
I did understand.
Yeah.
I did understand. Okay, but put other way, that if everyone was praying behind the Imam and going to sajda at the same time, then the danger is far greater.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's been told to divide into two, as you can see. And dividing into two, half, let's say, even though they are half, but the prayer is not going to last that long.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with the concession given. You can pray 2 rakah, for example, or more quicker, maybe not in the same way as you.
To sustain the defense.
Yes, some people will stay in the defense, and some people will praying half will be the other half. So it won't cause the. But let's say if the danger is so, okay. Another point, if the danger is greater, then in the same verse it says for Rukbanan or Rijalan, pray even though you are on the back of your ride or camel. If the danger is so great, then pray whichever way you can, while you are running or while you are riding at the same time. Isn't that what the verse says? For Rukbanan or Rijalan. I think in the same concept or context, for Rukbanan or Rijalan, meaning pray whichever. If the danger is too big, that you fear that they were going to attack if you offer the prayer, then yes, no, I mean not necessarily in the Jama'ah, or pray individually while running and while riding.
It says taking all precautions and also taking their weapons with them.
Take all the precautions. So the importance of Jama'ah can be understood clearly, that even in that situation, generally speaking, prayer should be done in a Jama'ah.
The various forms are as follows.
Yes, carry on various forms.
Ibn Umar said, Allah's Messenger ﷺ prayed the prayer in a state of fear with one party, while the other party was facing the enemy. Then they left and stood in the place of the other party and faced the enemy. Those others then came, and the Prophet ﷺ led them in 1 rakah of prayer and gave the salutations. Then they made up 1 rakah, while the other party also made up 1 rakah.
Okay, is that clear? The hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar. I mean, the description is clear, how the prayer was done. What it says?
One does 1 rakah, then they switch. Then the other does the first rakah as well, and then they switch again and do the final one.
Okay, Salatul Khawf بإحدى ركعات والأخرى, meaning one group is facing the enemy and the other group is with Prophet ﷺ praying. Okay? ثم انصرفوا وقاموا في مقام أصحاب مقبلين لذو وجاءوا أولئك ثم صلى بهم ركعة ثم سلم ثم قضى هؤلاء ركعة وهؤلاء ركعة. Yes, read once more, Abdullah ibn Umar, the first one.
That's it, okay.
Prophet ﷺ led.
Allah's Messenger ﷺ prayed the prayer in a state of fear with one party, while the other party was facing the enemy. Then they left, the party who had prayed, and stood in the place of the other party who were facing the enemy, and faced the enemy. Those others then came, like the second party, and the Prophet ﷺ led them in 1 rakah of prayer and gave the salutations.
Okay, so I mean, the first group prayed 1 rakah and then they went there. The other group who was facing the enemy, they came to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It looks like the Qibla was in different jiha, meaning Qibla was in different direction, the enemy were at different direction. So 1 rakah Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam led with these people. So they went there and those people came and 1 rakah and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam concluded. So these people prayed, completed their 1 rakah on their own and the other group on their own. Is it clear? That's what it says. So Makada haulai rakah wa haulai rakah. Meaning everyone prayed 1 rakah behind Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 2 rakah for Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and for this group 1. The other rakah, that group did on their own and this group on their own. Yes?
If circumstances are very difficult, then 1 rakah will be the best suitable to do then.
But they did the second rakah.
Here they did 2 rakah. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did 2 and each one they did 1 rakah behind Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and 1 on their own. But if the circumstances are really difficult, then farijalan or rukbana, as it been mentioned in the Quran itself. Okay, that is one way. Let's see the other way.
Sahil ibn Abi Hatama said, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed with his companion in a state of fear. He lined them up in 2 rows. Those closest to him prayed 1 rakah with him. Then he stood and remained standing until those behind him prayed a rakah. Then those in the back came forward and those in the front went back. And he prayed 1 rakah with the new group. Then he sat until those who came later prayed 1 rakah and then he made the salutations.
Okay, so this one, the difference between this one and the previous one is what? In the previous one, here Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed 1 rakah and he was still standing and the group with him, they did the second rakah on their own. Completed their prayer, then they went. Okay, and the other group came, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam still standing, so Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam led in the second rakah and was sitting there in tashahhud, and these people stood up and they completed the second rakah and concluded the prayer together. Is that clear now? So those who were with Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they completed their prayer, then they went. And those who came, they completed their prayer. In the first one was 1 rakah and then they went there, and those came and 1 rakah, and these people and those people did complete it in their own way.
Is it also to get Jamaat with Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
No,
Both
no.
can get
1 rakah, yes.
so both can get with Prophet.
Both have shared the praying behind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, this Sahal one, the second one, Sahal ibn Haz. So this is the way that preferred by Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He says this is the best way to perform. Why so? Because he says this description, the second one just we mentioned, he says it is more closer to the what we say, to the instructions given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. One group should pray with Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the other group should be there, and once they have finished they should come. That's the description given in the Quran, isn't it?
Yeah.
People should be divided into 2. One should pray and finish the prayer, then they should take the place and the other group should come and pray behind. So he says, Imam Ahmad rightly says that this description mentioned, this Sahal ibn Asma, is more closer to the instruction given in the Quran itself. And he says here the due right for the prayer is given. Everyone prayed 2 rakah, and the circumstances also has been taken into consideration. The fighting, because not everyone started at the same time, the group. So he said this one is, he prefers the description mentioned in the hadith of Sahal ibn Abi Hasma. Okay, let's go to the third one.
Jabir ibn Abdullah said, I witnessed the prayer in a state of fear with Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He arranged us in two lines, one behind Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while the enemy was between us and the Qibla. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made the takbir and everyone did so. Then he bowed and we all bowed with him. Then he raised his head from the bowing and we all raised our heads. Then he went down into prostration with the row that was closer to him, while the row in the back was facing the enemy. When the Prophet ﷺ finished the prostration and the next row to him stood up, the row in the back went into prostration and then stood. Then the row in the back came forward and then the row in the front went to the back. The Prophet ﷺ bowed as we all did. He then raised his head and we all did the same. Then he went into prostration and the row that was now closest to him, which used to be in the back during the first rak'ah, also went into prostration with him, while those in the other row stayed standing and facing the enemy. When Allah's Messenger ﷺ and the row closest to him finished the prostration, the row in the back performed the prostration. Then the Prophet ﷺ made the salutations and we all did so together.
Okay, is this situation clear? Kind of.
Thanks, John.
Okay, in the previous 2:1, it looks like the enemy were different direction. Let's say that direction and Qibla is this direction. Here it looks like the enemies are in the same direction of the Qibla. Okay, so this is the Qibla, let's say. The enemies are there. And you have to face them and the Qibla is the same. So what this hadith tells us, that Prophet ﷺ started the prayer with everyone. They started with everyone. Qiyam and Ruku was done together. When it came to the Sajda, he went into Sajda and the first row, meaning he divided into two rows, let's say two big rows. So the first row did Sajda and the second row was standing after Ruku. Why standing after Ruku? Because the enemy is in the front. They may attack if everyone goes in Sajda at the same time. Is it clear now?
Okay.
So once the Prophet ﷺ completed his sajda, he stood up, the group was behind, they did sajda now. And they joined the Prophet ﷺ when he was still standing. And that group came forward and this group moved a little bit, taking their place. So the second saf now became first and first saf became second after the first rakat was completed. Is it clear now? And the second rakah done in the same way. The second saf which became the first, they will do the sajda with Prophet ﷺ, while the saf that went into behind, they will remain standing until the sajda is completed. Then they will do the sajda and everyone is sitting and do this taslim at the same time. So little bit difference only, not that much. Here the enemy way in the same direction of Qibla. Okay, that is the three description he has mentioned. Is there any other? I think there are 5 or 6. He mentioned 3. Let's see what Sheikh Saleh, Saleh Fawzan.
Differing requirements around wudu and so on in preparation for that prayer?
How do you say?
Are there any differing requirements, with regards? I suppose they might not have access to water, so they can make tayammum. For example, if they're in the battlefield, I just wondered if there was any other concessions around preparing for the prayer, in the actual preparation for the prayer. Or was that not?
For the preparation.
It's not mentioned.
The wudu and tayammum you're saying. Tayammum, wudu is done if the water is, obviously that is condition, isn't it?
Yes.
Wudu or at least tayammum, depending on the availability. So even though it's not mentioned, but that is understood that you have to. But the wudu is easier because everyone can do it in their own time, not necessarily everyone has to go at the same time and do wudu. Okay, so let me mention another few ways of praying what we say. Salatul Khawf. The easiest way is mentioned in one of the hadiths. It says that the Prophet ﷺ led two rakah with one group, and completed their prayer, and the other group came, and and Prophet ﷺ led them in 2 rakah. So for the people it was 2, and for the Prophet ﷺ was 4. This is easy. 2 rakah. It hasn't been mentioned here whether after 2 rakah Prophets have concluded, but it looks like Prophet ﷺ was staying for the 3rd. They concluded the prayer and left, and the other group came, and so it was 3rd and 4th for Prophet ﷺ, and 1st and 2nd for them. 2 rakah, 4 to Prophets, and for them 2. I think there are more forms than these 3. I mentioned 1 here. There may be other ways as well. Okay, let me mention one last point before going to other issue. As we talked about earlier, إذا اشتد الخوف, Sheikh Saleh Fawzan says that when the khawf is severe, okay, meaning the fight is going on and people are moving and there's no way that you can make a jama also, ولم يمكن تفريق القوم على ما ذكر حان وقت الصلاة صلوا على حسب حالهم رجالا وركبانا قبلة وغيرها. Whether you are walking or whether you are riding using camels or horses, whether you are facing Qibla or not, whichever way is possible, just pray. يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالرُّكُوعِ السُّجُودِ حَسْبَ طاقتهم. You don't have to go into sajda, full sajda as well, depending on the situation. Okay, here this is Salatul Khawf mentioned, and there is another hadith where Prophet ﷺ made dua against the kuffar during the Battle of Khandaq. He said, may Allah fill their houses and their graves with fire. These people made us miss
A certain
number of prayers. Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, I think they prayed all together in Isha or something. So how can we reconcile between these 2? I mean, why didn't Prophet ﷺ offer the Salatul Khawf as mentioned? Why it was missed, the prayer altogether, and Prophet ﷺ had to pray all those prayers together in the Isha? Okay, the answer is simple, yes? Why is that? Okay, these rulings were not legislated at that time. These rulings, it happened in the Ghazwa Khandaq, and the first prayer the Prophet ﷺ led is Zatul Rakah, maybe 1 year after. So let's say these were introduced later on. Otherwise, in the Battle of Khandaq, the situation was serious, but at the same time not that much as well. There wasn't any fight going on. It had been more easier to perform Salatul Khawf. Any other questions regarding Salatul Khawf? Shall we take some more or stop here?
I think let's stop because the next one is funeral prayer, which is completely different.
Okay. Any other questions, boys?
It's not just in fight. It's also like if there's a lion.
How do you say?
If there's a lion and you're in a ghab, you're in a forest, you can do Salatul Khawf as well. Or if you're fearful of anything, like for example, I think it was mentioned in Fiqh al-Muyassar, if there's a debt collector who's unjust, violent, if you're afraid of your family safety or no.
I mean, any type of fear, be animals like lions, or debt collector, or any other
Tax collector.
No, unjust.
So that's what the scholars have said, that you can offer the Salatul Khawf. Okay. Yes, not necessarily the enemies. Any other questions, boys?
I suppose it could be a natural thing, like earthquakes and other stuff, or tsunamis coming.
Okay, again, Sheikh Saleh Al-Sawin says that أهمية الصلاة في الإسلام وأهمية صلاة الجماعة بالذات فإنهما لم يسقطا في هذه الأحوال, meaning the prayer and the prayer in the Jama'ah, it has not been forgiven or overlooked even this. And with little problem or excuse, we say, let me pray at home.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's easy.
It's true, that's how we are. Okay, and this also tells us that the Sharia is complete. How it tells us Sharia is complete? For every situation there is a solution. And the Sharia is easy. For example, many things have been overlooked. If you're not able to offer the prayer towards the Qibla, do it whichever.
That's whichever.
And the Sharia is suitable for every time and for every
Place, every
place.
place.
Okay, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.